Welcome to Flex That Worx, a podcast for anyone building, managing, or growing a flexible workspace without making things more complicated than they need to be. If you're running a single co-working space, juggling multiple locations, or overseeing a growing network of spaces across towns or cities, this is your space. It's for the operators, the managers, decision makers, the people doing the work to make these places run. This is Flex That Worx, scaling your workspace made simpler and less stressful. See you in the episode. Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Flex That Worx. Today we are joined by Megan Daly-Tyrrell. She's from the RDI Hub in County Kerry. She's the business development manager down there. As you know, we started Flex That Worx with the sole purpose of adding value to operators of co-working spaces of all shapes and sizes, because at the end of the day, that is who is at the centre of this world and the centre of our kind of focus and base works when we're developing our software. So we find it most valuable to bring operators in for chats in the hopes that you can add value to your peers and share your learnings and all of the insights and wisdom that you gain in your day-to-day. So Megan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks a million for having me. I've been really enjoying the podcast. It's been great.
Megan, will we start with a little introduction, maybe in your own words, to the RDI Hub, what you'd like us to know?
I am the business development manager here in the RDI Hub. We are what we call a co-innovation space. So it's slightly different, I suppose, to many of the operators around the country. Even the makeup of our business is quite different. So we're located in County Kerry, beautiful scenic area, very busy at this time of year. We have an incredible facility here. Our facility is a 22 million euro building. So it's really, really state of the art. And I suppose what makes us kind of different in the makeup of the business is that we're a public-private partnership between Fexco, which is a large fintech, it's a global fintech company that was started in County Kerry over 40 years ago. So we have Fexco as the corporate, Munster Technological University as the academia, and Kerry County Council then as government. So there are three founding partners. We're also a not-for-profit entity. So any of the profit that we do generate goes straight back into the business. We don't have shareholders or anything like that. And we receive a lot of support and funding from Enterprise Ireland as well. So it makes us a little bit different than your regular co-working space. I suppose the reason we call ourselves a co-innovation space is because for us, the co-working is almost secondary to our dedicated desk members. So for our dedicated desk members, we have an application process. So we don't just provide the facilities and the incredible workspace for our members. We actually provide the wraparound supports that our members need to accelerate their research and development efforts, find new paths to economic growth, create jobs in the region. So we provide that wraparound support as a given with our membership. So because of that, there is a membership application process. So we look for three key things from our members: that there would be a tech element to their business, that they're actively developing new products and services so that we can see there's a level of innovation there that we can help them accelerate. And the third and most important is that job creation piece. We need to see that their activities will lead to or could have the potential to lead to job creation in the region.
Fantastic. Such a unique type of space, and for it to be based in County Kerry as well.
It is, yeah.
It's
as
amazing.
a Kerry woman, I'm incredibly proud that we have something like this based in rural County Kerry. It's quite a sight, actually, when you're driving past, and we're directly across the way from Carrauntoohil. So you're driving past, you have the beautiful views of the McGillicuddy Reeks and the River Lown and cows and sheep, and then out of nowhere our building rises up. But it's been such an amazing asset to the region. It really
Incredible. I'd love to understand, for our listeners, what's the makeup of your space in terms of, is it dedicated desks? Have you some hot desking? Is it meeting room space? What's the kind of makeup for your members?
I suppose it's primarily dedicated desk. So we offer a few closed door office spaces, but most is open plan, dedicated desk with supporting focus rooms, meeting rooms, call rooms, that sort of thing. I would say that the split between our full-time or part-time members and our hot deskers is probably an 80-20 split in favour of membership against our day pass users.
Okay, fantastic. Great to have context of the type of space you're operating. Yeah, fantastic.
Even to that point, I know Killorglin from obviously we're not too far away from you here in Cork. Obviously, we're border to border, and that an absolutely amazing part of the world. That being said, Killorglin isn't even the biggest town in Kerry. The thought of putting a 22 million euro building, an innovation centre in not even the biggest town in Kerry, that must have taken some kind of visionary approach, and I'd love to hear a little bit more about how that came out.
It did. And you're right. Killorglin is, while it's quite a cosmopolitan little town, it is a little town. There isn't even a hotel in the town as such. There is a bit of industry, all right, in terms of a few pharmaceutical companies and other manufacturing companies, but it's a small town. But I suppose I always say that our location actually, while we're rural, it's actually quite an accessible location because, as you say, we're mid-Kerry. So we're equal distance between Killarney and Tralee. Listowel is just beyond Tralee. We have members that come up from Cahersiveen and from Waterville as well. So it is quite an accessible spot. But in saying that, there's no getting away from the fact that we are rural, and it really did take courage to make an investment like this in the region. So it was really driven by the founder of Fexco. He is an incredible man called Brian McCarthy. He would have started Fexco in Killorglin. He's a Killorglin man himself. So he would have started his global fintech in Killorglin over 40 years ago, selling foreign currency out of a portakabin to passing tourists. So they still have that portakabin, which is hilarious. But he's gone from that to having a physical presence in 42 countries worldwide. He saw that you don't need to be in the massive urban hubs for something like this to grow, scale, and internationalize. He's done it before, and he knew he could do it again.
No, it's brilliant. I love that. I love the idea. But they still have the portakabin. But isn't it amazing that something that happened 40 years ago has come full circle to now implanting this amazing facility that you have? One thing I've noticed about Kerry people and Irish people in general is we travel quite well to other countries, and we're seeing a lot of it here up and down the coast. Galway, Sligo. A lot of people starting to, I suppose, navigate back towards their hometown. And I often, when I'm talking to people about Ireland and its makeup, that historically the West Coast didn't have the best agricultural soil. So what happens is we have small towns dotted along and all our urban centres tend to be, outside of Galway, tend to be towards the east. So it's not uncommon for people to be born in the West Coast, get educated, leave, and historically not come back. So I'm interested to hear, you're talking about Cahersiveen, Waterville, all these beautiful places that were generally just for holidays, I know you're saying that people are coming up and down the road to Killorglin. Are you seeing what I'm saying here? People starting to come back, having had fantastic careers, and now bringing all their expertise and skill set back to the west of Ireland.
Absolutely, we're seeing that, and I think we can both agree. We've seen a lot of that, particularly since the pandemic. The rise of that flexible, hybrid, remote working. People were able to make those decisions to choose work-life balance and move back to their incredible hometowns and move back to their coastal areas. And it's not even just people moving back, Graham, it's actually people choosing to relocate. I mean, I have a couple of examples of companies that we have here in the hub. So there was, and funny enough, actually, it was the Connected Hubs. I don't know if you remember, but Connected Hubs a couple of years ago, they ran a voucher scheme where you could claim 3 free vouchers for any co-working hub in the country. So we had a wife and wife team come down. They have a team of 8 and they were based in Dublin. They had an office on St. Stephen's Green, and they came down and decided to spend their time here with us. They had their 3 free co-working days. They absolutely loved the area, and they went straight back to Dublin, sold their house, gave up the office, and moved down to Kerry. And they've now literally just moved into a house that they have built themselves here in Killorglin. But for them, it was the work-life balance. They're very outdoorsy people, and they were living in the centre of Dublin, and to get to the base of a mountain or, a proper hike, or they were having to travel over an hour and a half. Whereas here, they can leave and within 20 minutes be on the base of Carrantoul or Strickeen Mountain, or within half an hour they're on the base of Tork Mountain or on a beach somewhere. So it just made sense for them. So that's a really lovely story, and they've been with us ever since. Another man who's just joined us, I kind of anticipate a further rise, and I'm seeing it myself, and I'm hearing anecdotally of it happening elsewhere, but we have another lovely gentleman who's just moved from New York, an incredible entrepreneur. He is, I suppose, not happy with the current climate of things in America. And he, his wife, his son, and his 3 dogs came over. Well, he and his wife came over in January, scouting the area. And they've just moved. They moved in July. They just arrived and they're living in Carsavine. And they're blown away with the scenery and the people and the warmth of the welcome. So like, they're just 2 examples, but we have a number of examples of people who were both from the area, moved away and came back, or just love the area and want to raise their kids in a beautiful space, or want to be surrounded by that natural beauty and 26,000 acres of national parkland.
It's phenomenal. Like what these areas have to offer is phenomenal. We all often chat about the fact that co-working, flex working, your co-innovation, concept, ultimately it's all founded on people, and people are driven by their experiences. Ultimately, you can maybe be a bit uncomfortable or kind of hustle or rally for so long, and people do it for many years, maybe like that guy from the States, or the couple coming down from Dublin, but ultimately at some point the penny kind of drops for people. And I think COVID did that for a lot of people. They started really weighing the experience that they're having outside of work and the role of work in their lives. And I think co-working spaces have really come into their own. Both of us are actually in that situation. Yeah. Graham is one of those, and separately I'm one of those. Yeah. Very different kind of paths, but and it's happened for so many people. The thing we all have in common now is we all kind of ended up in West Cork, but everybody has had a different journey to get here, I was at GCUC in Manchester a couple of weeks ago, and one of the things that I came away from it was, one of the learnings was like, nobody went to university to study co-working. Nobody kind of had a clear path to get to it. So naturally, it's a really interesting space, and you can't walk into a hub without coming away with, an interesting story from somebody, or about a journey as to, everyone's kind of like, so how'd you get here? It's kind of the go-to question, what brings you here? In terms of the RDI, like, it's this co-innovation concept is really, really interesting, because you would say that just a co-working space being set up in Clorglen would have been innovative, but clearly it sounds to me like the owner of Fexco probably wanted to share back what wasn't available for him when he started, from this perspective of really, really focusing and developing and giving a strategy and structure to people who are looking to create something similar to what he created in his own day.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of truth in that. The McCarthy family, they're incredibly invested in Clorglen. Clorglen wouldn't be the town they are today without the McCarthy family and what they've done for the local area. And I think that was the vision. I mean, our overriding mission is to promote Clorglen and the southwest of Ireland as being the most incredible place and innovative place to start and grow a global company. The way we do that really is through, somewhat incubating these companies and giving them the support that they need to really accelerate their businesses and bring those jobs back to the region. To give a couple of figures, we've been open now for 5 years. We opened in February 2020 and we promptly closed again in March 2020. So it wasn't the best time, but we've been operating the business now at its full potential for about 3 years. In that time, we've had over 100 companies that have called RDI Hub home. And that's without all of our, real loyal cohort of hot deskers or, the incredible visitors that we get during the summer. It's without all of those. That'd be our kind of full-time dedicated desk members. So they have developed over 70 new products and services under our roof. The real metric that I love is that they have created over 430 high-value, sustainable jobs in the region. It's a figure that we're really, really, really proud of. I think it just proves there's a de-urbanization going on, and you don't need to be in the cities, the big urban areas. You don't need to compromise that work-life balance or that connection with family and friends and home place in order to achieve your career potential. And I suppose as a mother of a teenager myself, I'm delighted that there's something like this here, because there's something here for my son to come home to. And Kerry now being a university town, he might never have to leave, which would be another great thing.
Every Irish mommy is delighted.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's breaking that cycle that I mentioned earlier. You had to go to university somewhere else, and that's brilliant. You've touched on the supports that you guys give in the RDI, and I'm always talking about the different makeups of co-working spaces. Everything from accidental co-working spaces where somebody who rents an office with 10 desks and only has 4 people all of a sudden sees an opportunity to all the way up to, you guys, and you're on a different side of the spectrum where you're taking applicants. Obviously there's different types of co-working spaces all between that. If I decided, I have this great wonderful idea, I'm after getting a bit of funding, I've just started, I'm at MVP level, let's just say, I've identified Kerry and Cloglan as where I want to set up. What does that ideal journey look like for me becoming a member of the RDI and hopefully going on to hire and inspire, I suppose?
So I suppose for us, like what we would love to see is that our members would come in and really avail of the supports that we offer, really engage with the community. Supports that we offer come in the form, I suppose mentorship is one of the biggest ones. So we have a panel of it's nearly 30 mentors at this stage. As part of their membership fee, our members can come to us and say, I'm struggling with my market validation, or I'm struggling filling my sales pipeline, or developing my brand, or I'm looking at moving into this new territory and I need to understand the tax implications in this country, whatever it might be. And we will then matchmake them with a mentor who can guide them through that challenge. And as I say, that's all included in the membership fee. We also have an entrepreneur in residence who works on site here with us. He's a man by the name of Hugh Reynolds. He's an incredible entrepreneur. He has started and exited 3 incredibly successful companies. The most notable would be a company called Havoc Games, and then Core and Swerve. They would all have been, I suppose Havoc Games was it was a physics engine that drove video gaming graphics, and that would have been acquired for, I think, about $120 million or something along those lines. And Core and Swerve weren't too far behind. But he went on to hold directors' roles with Apple and Uber then afterwards, and he's an Irishman. So when he was looking to move back, he chose Kerry. And thankfully for us, we decided to build this building right in front of his house. So
it's all making sense.
So he works very closely with our member companies as well in a mentorship capacity. And really what Hugh doesn't know about starting and scaling a business is not worth knowing. So our members have access to Hugh as well. We have a calendar of educational events then too. So we'd have a lunch and learn session on a different topic at least once every 2 weeks. And again, it could be anything from perfecting your pitch or, driving innovation, company culture, sales, marketing, whatever it might be. We're actively bringing in guest speakers as well for our companies. So it could be someone who's an expert in project management, or the next one we have coming up is all around research and development tax credits and understanding what you can claim. There's all of that. And of course, there's the big social calendar of events that we do as well, which is incredibly important at keeping that community together. We're actively, I suppose, we understand our member companies. I would have met with a company now who's just joined us, we'll say last Thursday. On his first day, I'd have sat down with him and really, really understood what stage he was at, what was his solution, who is his target market, and what does he need at the moment in terms of, for him, it's at the moment, it's connections. He's still at market validation phase. So it's connections. And sometimes the weight of the RDI Hub reaching out to a particular organization or business saying, we have this incredible young founding team, they have the solution. Is there any chance you would just take a look at it for them and offer your feedback? Sometimes the weight of an organization like RDI Hub saying that, as opposed to the guys trying to sell their wares directly, it can be a lot more effective. So we're actively doing that as well. So yeah, there's a lot of support. And I think just being here, we run a lot of events and networking events as well. So there's a lot of networking opportunities. We've had founders who've met their co-founders. We've had people who've done business, someone who may not be a technical co-founder, but they've met an incredible developer at one of our events and they've ended up working together. So it's just being in that kind of environment, I think, as well, is incredibly important.
What I've picked up from listening to you is you have a very, very clear understanding of, your client base and the people that, come in the door. And obviously just listening to you, you take, you put dedicated time into speaking to people, I take it. So we're constantly talking, myself and Anne-Marie, about the importance of knowing the people that come in the door. Now, I know your business is slightly different to, a standard co-working space, but, I'd love to hear your approach on how you get to know your clients and if there's a process to that. And obviously, I know I can see all the good stuff that comes off the back of it, but I'd love to get your thoughts on that.
Up until about a year ago, it was quite organic. So I'd be responsible for the member acquisition and retention here. So it was quite organic. It was, meeting our members on an ad hoc basis, being really interested and invested in what they were doing, but there was no formal structure to it. But about a year ago, we got to the point where we were so busy, I was actually struggling to keep up with all of our members and all of the incredible things they were doing. So we pushed into place support plans. So when our members start, we sit down and it's a documented support plan that's available to everyone on our team to see. And it includes details like, what the solution is, what stage are they at, will they engage in mentorship? And if so, what sort of mentorship can we provide them? Do they need connections? And if so, what sort of connections do they need? And at that point, then you have regular touch points with that member. So it might be a casual coffee 3 months later, just to quickly check in. And then it might be a full sit down again 6 months later to say, okay, well, look, 6 months ago, this is where we were at. This is what we said we were going to do. We were going to set you up with this mentor. How did that go? We were going to make these connections and we did that. And how did that go? We've taken a formalized approach and we've actually brought the wider team into it now as well. So naturally, we're a big enough team at the moment. We're a team of 11. And naturally, some members will have stronger relationships with some other members of the team. So it makes sense that they're the ones to do the check-ins. So, our senior leadership team, we'd have kind of the oversight and the regular reviews of these support plans. But I think the team actually really enjoy doing them as well. It makes them more invested in the members and their success. So we have formalized that process, which I think has been really helpful.
So important. That's one question I wanted to ask you. The systems and processes. So you've been in the business for 3 years now and your background was hospitality.
Yes.
Am I right? So, something that is heavily driven by systems and processes typically to operate well at scale, I'm guessing, hospitality. So how much of that did you bring into the RDI and have you been kind of shaping it as the business evolves? For you guys, what's working well? Do you have any advice for anybody who'd be looking to kind of shape or systemize things a little bit?
Your system need is going to change as you grow anyway. So I think starting small, if someone is just starting out, they don't need all the bells and whistles. First and foremost, BaseWorks, is an absolute no-brainer. It just completely takes away all of the hassle with our booking. It's just so easy. The integration with the website to start with, someone can go on our website. The integration that sits on our website from BaseWorks, it was so easy to do that I did it myself. And I'm not a technical person, but it fits in so well at the website. And I think just having visibility on that Connected Hubs platform is excellent as well. So first and foremost, I would be recommending that somebody get on that. It makes the financial side, the financial management and reporting side so much easier. Someone just goes on and they book, they pay, and you receive a notification that it's all done. There's no messing around or emails over and back talking about which dates they'd like to come in or sending them separate Stripe links or any of that. It's all done and you get the notification to say that somebody is coming into your space on such and such a date. You get reminders, which are brilliant to remind, someone can book maybe a week in advance. You're maybe not always going to remember that. You'll get a reminder the day before that this particular person is coming into your space the next day, which is excellent. The financial side of things is super. It's all real time. So you can go straight onto the platform and it's just there in front of you. The reporting is brilliant. The exporting from the system is absolutely fantastic. So from a kind of an operational side of things, if you're just starting out, BaseWorks ticks so many boxes. As we've scaled as a company, we've had to introduce various other project management systems. BaseWorks looks after all of our booking and always will, I think. I don't think there's any reason we'd ever move away from it. But we looked at various project management systems. So things like Airtable we've brought in, which is a really, really good system. for tracking our sales. HubSpot we've brought in, but HubSpot can be quite expensive. So, you don't even really need something like that until you get to a point where you need it, basically, because it's a big financial investment. So they'd be the primary systems that we use, really. I think keeping it simple is a really good thing. Like, you referenced my hospitality background, and yes, there's a lot of systems, but I think with a lot of the hospitality businesses that I've worked in, you're dealing with legacy systems that people have kept adding onto, and none of it speaks to each other, which is not ideal. So particularly with the reporting, you're pulling information from this system, and this system just to do your weekly meeting every week. So I think just keeping things very simple would be my biggest piece of advice. You don't need all the bells and whistles. Start with BaseWorks, take it from there. There's a reason over 380 hubs across the country use you guys. It's because it ticks all the boxes, and like, I have to say, the customer, and this isn't a sales pitch now, to be fair.
Oh, you go for it. I'll retire.
The customer service side of things is just excellent. Like, Olivia is incredible. I love dealing with her. You get a response straight away from her. You're never waiting on anything. You guys are always open to changing things and doing upgrades and building for the business needs, and we're obviously part of the Connected Hubs network as well, and that's an incredible community. But having BaseWorks come into those calls and update the network on, well, actually, did you see this new feature? It's just constantly evolving, and that's obviously because you guys listen to us.
Try to live on the feedback, like, and we've often said, like, Anne-Marie will probably sick of hearing me saying, like, we built BaseWorks, but it was off the really, at the start, very hard conversations with customers, and even though, like, we never stop learning from operators like yourself, because where we sit in the whole ecosystem is we're trying to make the front line an easier place to live and operate, and we also know that we're a step removed from that, so it's very important that we're consistently talking and listening, and sometimes we hear the ugly truth that we have to go in and sort out. But I'm a big fan of giving people a free day to experience what it's like to come to a spot. And I know you guys do that. I posted something on LinkedIn not so long ago, and I had read an article afterwards by a larger operator in the States who thinks that open days and giving away co-working for a day is a waste of time. When I heard you applauding the idea of giving away co-working as a free, I'd love to hear how you do it and what you do to get value out of it, because clearly this operator that I read a counter argument on hasn't been doing it to any great effect. So I'd love to learn a little bit more about how you guys do in the RDI Hub there.
I completely disagree that giving away free days is a waste of time. Completely and utterly disagree. The first thing I do if I get an inquiry for a new dedicated desk member, the first thing I do is ask them to come in, spend the day with us, meet with me, meet with some of the team, meet with the community. I think we have a give first mentality anyway here at RDI Hub. That's how we operate. For me, it's getting people over that threshold. That is what makes the sale for me as a salesperson. I love bringing people in here, giving them that warmth of welcome, giving them that, I suppose, that taster of what it will be like. It's a big thing in sales. You need to paint a future state for someone in order for them to buy from you. Bringing them in and giving them that day and having them meet people at the coffee machine. And like, I need to actively introduce people as well. I don't kind of give them their space and leave them there for the day. I'll sit down and have a cup of coffee with them. I'll actively introduce them to members that I think are in the same zone. And all that time, you're painting that picture of their future state. And invariably, they leave the place and they go, that's exactly where I want to be. So that's what I do when I get inquiries in. And as I say, invariably, they do convert. I host open days. I host open weeks. I have an open day coming up now, and it's actually around that research and development tax credit event that I have coming up. So I'll usually hinge it around an event. Again, you're giving first. You're giving value to someone. There is a reason for them to come to the hub, and then you offer them that free day of co-working while they're here. And, it's sucking them into the community. I think it works incredibly well. I run one open week every year, and it's Monday to Friday. I have a different event on every single day. I think my last open week, we had 37 people come through the door. You can't generate potential leads like that. And they've shown an intent by leaving their house and coming to spend that day with you. But they're qualified leads. Personally, I can't understand the counter argument.
The theory on the article was that you end up just attracting a load of freeloaders that are, slouching around, drinking coffee, not really engaging with the members. That's why I was interested to hear your approach on it. You're obviously actively connecting, introducing, and I suppose giving them the experience that they are going to have, going forward if they are to kind of come in and work from your space. Nowadays, we can all work, from home, and you need to provide that compelling reason to get people out the door. And a lot of that is the people factor.
It's connection, and it's people. If funny enough, I go a step further. So the back of my business card is a free day pass.
Brilliant. Love it.
Anyone that gets a business card from me at a networking event has a complimentary day pass that they can send on to someone. For us, it works. It's one of the biggest drivers in sales, I think, for us here in RDI Hub.
With my operator hat on, those 37, where are you finding them?
So we advertise quite a lot. We have a big following on LinkedIn. We're building our Instagram following. Our members are fantastic at referring us as well. So when we have an open day coming up, I'll send it out to our members and ask them, look, friends, family, anyone that wants to come in, please share this with them. We also have a referral scheme for our members. If somebody does sign up, then if that new member stays for 3 months, then our member gets a month free membership as well. So we have those kind of incentives. We take out advertising in the local print media. I have a marketing background as well. Still a big believer in the print media. We are on Radio Kerry quite a lot. Then our team is very well connected too. So I'll always send it out to my team and say, guys, I'm running an open day on September 10th. Can you please send this to a minimum of 10 of your connections that you think might be interested in membership? Various means.
Fantastic. And really intentional channels, it sounds like. And you're advertising in good time. You've got set events because your members, that what you're running will add value. You're selecting the days and the different events that will add value to them. So you've got nice concrete kind of events that will draw in the right type of person. And naturally then, as you say, you're adding so much value to your existing members because you're bringing in new aligned people. And that means they can continue with their day to day, and potential new business partners are walking through the door. What a great value add to your existing members as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Our open days, our events, they do provide great networking opportunities for our current membership. And I think it's one of the really lovely things about being in the RDI Hub. Not every co-working space has an event space like that, but we're actively bringing in new people that they can network with, which obviously increases their own network, leads to business opportunities. They've found new staff members, new co-workers, whatever it might be.
And it becomes kind of a natural thing to do, doesn't it? When one or two people in the space are kind of almost extroverted, or they're in the networking space, even if they're not on the commercial or the founding team of the business, which typically are more chatty and outgoing. I think if the culture of the space is to connect and ask people their backgrounds and understand what they're doing, it becomes kind of the norm that people would connect and kind of see where partnerships might go and things like that. It almost becomes the culture in there. One thing we were chatting about earlier, myself and Graham, was actually about the peaks and troughs and kind of knowing the pattern or the rhythm of your business, say across the year, because of course, like you mentioned, you're in a rural kind of coastal area, potentially summertime, you see an increase. Are there times of the year that you also see kind of lulls in the busyness in the space? And if so, how do you kind of navigate that? How do you kind of keep a handle on the rhythm of a space? Because it is one thing that we hear operators saying quite a bit, that they kind of struggle a little bit with quiet periods and they want to keep the revenue consistent.
Yeah, it is. It's tough. Look, I think when you work in our industry, attrition is always one of the biggest things. You can have a fantastic month and onboard 4 or 5 new members, and then you get notice that 3 members are leaving. It's like 4 steps forward and 2 steps back kind of thing. So we've highs and lows. I've been here 3 years now, and when I track all of that. So when you're looking at the data, I know that, January will statistically be quite busy because people are in that new year, new me, get out of the house, sick of the family, need interaction with other people. So that's quite a busy period. I know that July and August, when it comes to our own members here, that can be quite quiet. We've had people that have relocated here. So a lot of those people go home to see their family, whether it's to France, Morocco, Croatia, the US. But on the flip side of that, what helps us, we'll say in July and August, what I know will help us is the influx of visitors coming into Kerry. So that increases our day pass revenue. So it doesn't completely balance out the full-time members that we will say lose over those couple of months, but it definitely goes ways towards mitigating that drop in revenue. Data is incredibly important. Tracking, and I track this on an Excel sheet. It's nothing fancy. I track everyone I've onboarded, everyone I've offboarded, and what month they've onboarded or offboarded on. I track all of the reasons for offboarding so that we can spot trends like that and spot anything operational that we need to pick up on. Just capturing that data and taking time to look at that every quarter. Well, does this quarter stack up with last quarter or, this same period last year and the year before that? Are we seeing a trend there? So that next year, when you're forecasting, when you're looking at your budgeting, you can say, look, I know my average attrition rate is probably 3%, but in July and August, that's going to increase to 6%. And I need to allow for that. So if I'm allowing for that, then maybe I need to boost the advertising for my day pass sales to get more of those day pass users in. It's looking ahead and making those decisions based on data. But to do that, you need to be capturing it,
And in terms of the success of the space, what is the role? Because often another thing that comes up a lot that we hear is the balance between kind of commercial mindset and profitability and revenue and the community side of things and culture. And sometimes people think one is a little bit softer or fluffier than the other, but maybe not, because one tends to feed the revenue. Having a good community, having a good culture actually feeds the revenue. So it's very concrete measure actually. Is it something that you have to think about much, Megan, kind of developing the culture and the community in the RDI Hub, or do you feel that's taken care of just by who comes through the door? It kind of self-selects now that you're up and running.
No, I mean, look, we're nothing without our people. Our business wouldn't be here without our people. And the reason our people are here is the support and things we provide, but it's the community that keeps them here. It's that sense of belonging. It's the connections that people make. It's the support that they receive from one another. It's the monthly pizzas and pints when, you're used to remote work, and it's that connection. So we're quite intentional with the community building activities that we do. As I say, we're intentional with the educational events that we bring our members together for, social events. So we've just had our summer barbecue. A month before that, we went on a Ring of Kerry bus tour with some hydration stops along the way. When everyone comes back now from annual leave in September, we'll have another big get together, which will probably be like a coffee morning for everyone to catch up and just chat over coffee. So we're very intentional. We get feedback from our members quite a bit as well. So we would do twice yearly NPS surveys for our members. And it's great. Year on year, they've been responded to increasingly more. So we really will sit down as a team and we will look at the feedback. Some people it might be something as small as they want a car valet on site. So we sit down as a team and go, well, actually, can we do that? Like that's pretty small. Or they want an extra half an hour in the evening, or they would love to start a book club or a hiking group. But if you don't ask, you don't get that information. So it's constantly polling your members and getting that feedback. So the voice of the customer is what we call it. So we do quarterly meetings, but we do big strategy meetings towards the start of Q4, planning for the following year. And we bring members into that. So we have a section, which is a voice of the customer section, where our members, so we have the NPS feedback, but we physically bring them into the room and we ask them, what do you love about this space? What could we be doing better on? And we listen to them,
Phenomenal. I love it. And what strikes me is you're never too small to put process in place either, because oftentimes it's a little bit chicken and egg. People feel I'm not there yet, but actually if you want to get there, if you've 2 members, poll them because that'll inform what happens for the next 10. And if you're multi-site and you've multi-locations, it's even more important to have a system or a way of checking in. So that kind of routine NPS Also for yourself as an operator as well, you're not waking up thinking, oh God, when did I last poll the members? You're actually kind of, you're minding your own rhythm and flow in the business as well, and feeling like you've got it handled because you've got that process in place and the team knows what's happening. You can go back to that data and there's no guessing. Everyone's on the same page.
And the members know what's happening. So actually, when we get that information from the NPS, we put out communications to all of our members saying, we anonymize it. We say, this is what we received, and these are our comments and the actions that we're going to take as a result. So, there's a lot of communication there, and it's vitally important.
And the one thing people won't do is they probably won't contribute if they haven't seen an impact the first time they contributed. So if they
100%.
took the time to fill the survey once and they never heard again, the chances of them filling a second time are pretty low. So I do think closing that loop and going back to them with the feedback, showing them the impact of the energy they put in, the effort they gave you by answering, is really important as well to show you're listening. That's brilliant.
And I think, especially if there's something you can't do, if someone has filled out a survey and they've made a suggestion that actually it's not operationally or logistically possible, and you don't go back to them and you don't tell them why, then they're not going to do another survey. It's going to pee them off, whereas if you go back to them and you say, look, I love this suggestion. The reason we can't do it at the moment is X, Y, Z. And you have that open conversation with them, they go, okay, I understand that,
We see that done really well here. And I think it's nearly fed some outrageous asks because the guys are just waiting to see how much they'll say no to. So they're being given some easy no's every month.
But I think the important thing for members and clients is to let them know that they've been listened to, at least. Sometimes that's probably the most valuable thing. And I think it's very brave of you to actually bring a member in and put them down in a room when you have your own stakeholders around, Megan, and and so I commend you on that. I mean, that shows a level of confidence in the great job you're doing in the RDI Hub, for sure. Obviously really shows the effect that relationship building that you're consistently doing has when you are comfortable enough to bring somebody off the floor, come in, sit down, tell my stakeholders how you find the space here, so fair play on that one.
And even new ideas and things that I have. We have a couple of OG members, I call them. They're the real originals. They've been with us since the start. And if we have ideas, we go to them. We go, come here, I'm thinking about, what do you think of this? And you're getting that buy-in from people. To create a community, people need to feel like their voice matters, their opinion matters. And I think when you do things like that, you're automatically getting that buy-in and you're getting that loyalty. They feel part of something,
Absolutely. They have some ownership in it. And that's actually a really big part of the successful spaces that we've seen. Graham and myself would chat about that a bit. It's spaces where people feel they have ownership, because actually a lot of the time, I know we're seeing more and more people coming from corporate backgrounds where the office is kind of their typical office space. Outside of that group, there's a real entrepreneurial mindset, even when people are employed by brands and things. So people actually love to be involved and take something on themselves. Megan, this has been a fantastic chat. I'm thinking about people who would be listening and you may have some experience that you could pass on to them. Is there anything, if you were chatting to somebody who is either starting out a space or maybe they have a couple of locations and they're thinking about growing, what would be your kind of top takeaways or things you'd say maybe to look out for? Biggest lessons? Oftentimes we're great at telling people what has worked well, but what's something you could look out for, you think that are kind of challenges? Any advice?
I think because we're relatively young, and yes, we've had challenges. You have challenges when it comes to retaining members and things, but I'm a salesperson, so as I said, you could have a really good month one month and you could onboard loads of members, and then the next month, for this reason, that reason, and the other, you lose a bunch of members. It can be a little bit deflating. My thing is, don't get disheartened. Don't get disheartened about it. It's the nature of the business that we're in. We need to expect transience, expect that there's going to be that flow, and prepare yourself by collating that data and, I suppose just anticipating. Though some things you can't anticipate, but some things you can. Between my year 1 and year 2, even in the space of that 12 months, I noticed, okay, well, that's going to be a peak. So even though inquiries were down this month, I know I'm going to make up for it next month. It's just, don't get disheartened. Not every member is going to stay with you forever. I think that's one of my biggest challenges in my role anyway. Biggest piece of advice, I think, is just reach out to people. Like we said, there's a huge network now on the Connected Hubs network. There's regular meetups. I would definitely go to those regular meetups. They're online. People are so supportive. You know, I've gotten in the car, I've jumped on the train, and I've gone to meet these people, and they've been so incredibly giving with their time. I've had other people reach out to me and ask my advice on how I do things here. So be part of that network and lean into people as well would be another piece of advice.
Fantastic. The future of the RDI Hub, anything you'd like to share with us? Anything exciting coming up?
Everything moves so fast. So outside of the co-working side of things, we're involved in a lot of different national and international projects. The future is looking exciting. We've a lot of new projects coming down the line. I couldn't really even pick one that excites me the most. A lot of European projects that will be announced in the coming months.
So you can check out the RDI Hub on LinkedIn and Instagram. They're your main two channels for now.
They are. Our website is rdihub.com. And, if anyone's listening, they want to connect, I'm always happy to chat. So definitely send me a connection request.
Fantastic. Megan, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting. We'd love to have you back another time. And I think I'll be heading down to Clorglen for one of these events at some point by the sounds of things.
Yeah, definitely.
Excellent.
Megan, thanks so much.
Yeah,
You were brilliant. That was fantastic. That was really, really good.
Super. I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed the chat.
Thanks for tuning in to Flex That Worx. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to follow or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss our next episode. Connect with us on LinkedIn, watch the full episode on YouTube, and you can explore free tools and resources over at baseworks.co. This is Flex That Worx, powered by Baseworks, here to help you scale your workspace, making it simpler and less stressful.